Welcome back to Chrono Tales, where reality bends and nightmares walk among us. I'm your host, and tonight's story will make you question every shadow, every reflection, every moment when you feel watched. This is the terrifying tale of the invisible stalker. They say the most dangerous predator is the one you cannot see. But what happens when invisibility isn't just a trick of light, but a curse that hungers? Sarah Chen moved into apartment 4B on a rainy Tuesday in March 2024. The building was old but charming, located in downtown Portland with exposed brick walls and tall windows that overlooked the city. The rent was suspiciously cheap, but Sarah didn't ask questions. She was just grateful to finally have a place of her own. The first week was perfect. Sarah unpacked her boxes, arranged her furniture, and even met a few neighbors who seemed friendly enough. But on the 8th night, something changed. Sarah woke at 2:47 a.m. to the sensation of being watched. Her apartment was dark except for the glow of streetlights through the curtains. Nothing seemed out of place, but her skin prickled with awareness.
Hello.
The creak came from the corner of her bedroom near the closet. Sarah grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight, sweeping the beam across the room. Nothing. The corner was empty. But as Sarah lowered her phone, she noticed something that made her breath catch. On her dresser, where she had left a glass of water before bed, there were now wet fingerprints trailing across the wooden surface. Large fingerprints, definitely not hers.
Who's there? Show yourself.
The temperature in the room dropped suddenly. Sarah could see her breath now, forming small clouds in the air. And then she heard it. Breathing that wasn't her own, coming from right beside her bed. Sarah bolted from the bed and ran to the light switch. When the lights flooded the room, it was empty. Completely empty. But the breathing continued, growing louder, angrier, as if something was furious at being revealed by the light. Sarah didn't sleep for the rest of that night. When morning came, she did what any rational person would do. She researched the building's history on her laptop. What she found made her blood run cold. The building had been a research facility in the 1960s, conducting experiments for a now-defunct pharmaceutical company. According to an archived news article from 1967, there had been an incident. A fire that killed 3 researchers. But it was the details buried in a follow-up article from 1968 that truly frightened Sarah. One of the deceased researchers, Dr. Marcus Webb, had been working on a serum designed to bend light around organic matter, essentially creating invisibility. The article mentioned that Dr. Webb had been testing the serum on himself when the fire broke out.
Witnesses reported seeing a door open and close by itself as people fled the building. Firefighters claimed to feel something push past them on the stairs, though nothing was visible on thermal imaging cameras.
Sarah stood and walked to her window, looking down at the street below. She needed to talk to someone, to confirm she wasn't losing her mind. That's when she saw it in the reflection of her window. A shape, tall and vaguely human, standing directly behind her. She spun around. Nothing was there. But when she looked back at the window, the reflection remained, and now it was moving closer.
Stay away from me.
The window cracked in a perfect handprint shape, as if something invisible had just pressed against it with tremendous force. Sarah ran to her front door, fumbling with the locks. The door wouldn't open. It was locked from her side, but something on the other side of the door was holding it shut. She could hear breathing again, right against the door, hot and heavy.
You live in my home.
Sarah grabbed her phone and called 911, but before she could speak, an invisible hand snatched the phone from her grip and threw it across the room, shattering it against the wall. She was trapped. Whatever Dr. Marcus Webb had become, whether ghost or something worse, it was in the apartment with her, and it had no intention of letting her leave.
What do you want?
Want to be seen.
Every reflective surface in the apartment suddenly cracked and shattered. Mirrors, the TV screen, picture frames with glass. Sarah realized with horror that the entity couldn't bear to see its own reflection, or rather, the absence of one.
I can help you. Tell me what happened to you.
The chaos stopped. In the sudden silence, Sarah could hear something she hadn't noticed before. A soft, almost pitiful sound. The invisible stalker was crying.
The serum couldn't reverse it. Fire took my body. But consciousness remained, trapped, invisible, forever.
Sarah understood now. Dr. Webb wasn't a monster. He was a man who had made a terrible mistake and was now paying an eternal price. He wasn't trying to hurt her. He was desperately trying to make contact with the living world, to be acknowledged, to be seen.
I see you, Dr. Webb. I know you're here. You're not invisible to me anymore.
For a moment, nothing happened. Then, in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the broken window, Sarah saw something impossible. Dust particles in the air began to outline a shape, a tall man in what looked like a lab coat, standing near the window.
I see you. You're real. You exist.
Thank you.
The shape faded slowly, the dust particles scattering like stars across the room. When they settled, Sarah knew, really knew, that Dr. Webb was gone. Not destroyed, but finally released. Being acknowledged, being truly seen by another person after decades of invisibility, had given him the peace he needed to move on. Sarah moved out of apartment 4B the next week, but before she left, she did something that surprised even herself. She wrote a letter to the building management, detailing the history she'd uncovered about Dr. Marcus Webb. She suggested they install a memorial plaque in the lobby, acknowledging the researchers who died in the 1967 fire. Six months later, the plaque was installed. It reads, "In memory of Dr. Marcus Webb, Dr. Ellen Rhodes, and Dr. James Patterson, whose dedication to science cost them their lives, may they never be forgotten." Sarah visits the building sometimes, standing in front of that plaque. She never feels the sensation of being watched anymore, but occasionally, on quiet afternoons when the sunlight hits just right, she swears she can see dust particles forming the shape of a hand, resting gently on the plaque's surface. A hand that's no longer invisible, a soul that's finally been seen. And that concludes tonight's tale from Chrono Tales. Remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones hiding in the dark. They're the ones desperate to be seen, acknowledged, remembered. Sometimes all a ghost needs is someone who truly sees them. Thank you for joining me tonight. Until next time, remember to acknowledge the invisible people in your life. You never know who might be desperately waiting to be seen.